Tonight's headlines: Philippines to lose 117 billion pesos if fuel excise tax suspended. PUV drivers, operators to receive fuel subsidy. Alert level 0 likely if COVID-19 becomes endemic. 2.5 million people have now fled Ukraine. Cloudy skies, scattered rains to prevail over parts of Philippines. Nets trample Sixers. And Philippine trade gap widens in January. Good evening. Today is Friday, March 11, 2022. I'm Miguel Paltagoran and this is Tribune News on Q. Here are the stories for this evening. The Department of Budget and Management said Friday that the Philippines will lose 117 billion pesos in revenues, or 0.5% of the country's gross domestic product, if the government suspends the collection of excise tax petroleum products. Budget Assistant Secretary Rolando Toledo said the country's economic managers were opposed to the proposals to suspend the excise tax on fuel to ease the impact on the public of the weekly increases in pump prices. The Development Budget Coordination Committee is composed of the Secretaries of National Economic and Development Authority, Department of Finance, DBM, as well as the Governor of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. From a cost-benefit standpoint, Toledo said the expected foregone 117 billion pesos in state revenues could impact the implementation of programs, activities, and projects. The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board announced Friday that public utility vehicle or PUV drivers and operators will receive their fuel subsidies beginning March 15. The announcement came after the Department of Budget and Management on Thursday released 2.5 billion pesos and 500 million pesos for the fuel subsidies for the public transport utility and the agricultural sectors, respectively. The LTFRB will provide guidelines for the distribution of 6,500 pesos fuel vouchers to over 377,000 eligible PUV drivers who operate jeepneys, UV Express, taxis, tricycles, and other full-time ride-hailing and delivery services around the country next week. The identified 377,443 beneficiaries could claim their subsidies through cash cards to be issued by the Land Bank of the Philippines. The cards could then be used by the beneficiaries to pay at fuel stations. The Department of Interior and Local Government Undersecretary Epimaco Densing III announced that Alert Level 0 status could be implemented if COVID-19 is declared endemic in the country. Densing said that the alert status will be prescribed if COVID-19 is no longer affecting the entire country, adding that the percentage of COVID-19 cases should be almost similar to the percentage of ordinary flu cases. When the government's National Action Plan Phase 5 is accomplished under Alert Level 0, Deng Sing said the National Task Force Against COVID-19 will be scrapped. He added that the government will only keep the Interagency Task Force for the management of emerging infectious diseases. Tribune News on Q will be back after these reminders.
Daily Tribune, may digital shows na din. Dahil sa mas lumalaki at mas lumalakas nating tribu, handog sa inyo ng Daily Tribune ang mga programang magbibigay buhay araw-araw. Be informed at mag-good vibes tuwing umaga sa programang Gising Na. Be updated sa news and happenings sa Tribune News on Q. Mas kilalanin pa natin ang mga paborito nyong atleta sa programang The Athletes Tribune. Alamin ang latest entertainment sa programang What's Up. Ma-inspire sa mga kwentong hatid ng Perfect. Search lang ang Daily Tribune sa inyong Facebook at Tribune Now on YouTube. See you there mga katribu!
In other news, 2.5 million people have fled Ukraine since Russia invaded, and another 2 million have been internally displaced by the war, the United Nations said on Friday. The UN Refugee Agency's chief, Filippo Grandi, blamed the mass displacement on what he called a senseless war that began on February 24. Paul Dillon, spokesman for the UN's International Organization for Migration, said the 2.5 million people who have fled Ukraine included 116,000 nationals from other countries. Before Russia invaded, more than 37 million people lived in Ukrainian territory under the control of the central government of Kiev. More than half of those who have fled have gone to Poland. State Weather Bureau Pag-asa announced that cloudy skies with scattered rain showers and thunderstorms will prevail over parts of the country due to the shear line or the tail end of frontal systems and northeast monsoon or amihan. Aurora, the northern portion of Quezon and Kalayaan Islands, will experience cloudy skies with scattered rain showers and thunderstorms caused by the shear line and low pressure area. Eastern Visayas, Dinagat Islands, Surigao del Norte, including Surigao and Bukas Grande Islands, will have cloudy skies with scattered rain showers and thunderstorms due to easter lice. Cagayan Valley will have cloudy skies with light rains caused by amihan, while Ilocos Region and Cordillera Administrative Region will experience partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated light rains. Metro Manila and the rest of the country will have partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers with possible flash floods or landslides during severe thunderstorms. In sports, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving led the Brooklyn Nets to a blowout 129-100 victory over ex-teammate James Harden and the Philadelphia 76ers in an NBA grudge match on Thursday. Durant scored 25 points and had 14 rebounds, and Irving added 24 points in the clash at Philadelphia, the first meeting of the club since their blockbuster NBA trade deadline deal last month sent Harden to the 76ers, with Ben Simmons and Seth Curry going to Brooklyn in exchange. A humbled Harden, swarmed by Nets defenders most of the night, managed only 11 points on 3 of 17 shooting and took a few bumps defensively from Durant. Brooklyn hit only 30 of 93 shots from the floor, a woeful 32.3%. Brooklyn never trailed and set a season high with 15 block shots, dominating off the fast break and off turnovers. Brooklyn led 102-70 after 3 quarters, took the lead as large as 36 points, and both benches were cleared for the final minutes. And in business, the country's trade deficit widened by double digits in January as the increase in imports continued to outpace growth in exports, government data showed. Data released by the Philippine Statistics Authority showed that the balance of trade in goods deficit amounted to $4.695 billion, up to 63.2% from $2.877 billion in January 2021. A deficit indicates that the value of countries' imports exceeded export receipts, while a surplus indicates more export shipments than imports. Meanwhile, total internal trade in goods, the sum of imports and exports, stood at $16.78 billion, up 20% from $13.97 billion in January 2020. 64% of which were imports, while the remaining 36% were exports. Total imports for January 2022 amounted to $10.74 billion, while total exports reached $6.043 billion. That wraps up the stories tonight. Before we go, we would like to thank the SM Store, Araneta City, the Department of Tourism, MG Motors, Hina Motors, Security Bank, Empire Eastlands Holdings Incorporated, and Overseas Community Affairs Council member Alan Lin of the Republic of China for their continued support. Again, this is Miguel Paltagonan, and you're watching Tribune News on Q. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay at home. Good night, and God bless us all.
Magandang araw mga katribu! Narito na ang mga makakasama nyo tuwing umaga sa programang Gising Na. Roy Pelevelo, Atty. Lia Badillo Crisostomo, Vernon Velasco, Kim Sancha at Chirk Balagtas. Abangan ang programang Gising Na mula alas 8 hanggang alas 9 ng umaga sa Facebook page ng Daily Tribune.
Ilabas na ang mainit na kape at samahan kami sa inyong pag-almusal, mga katribo.
Simulan natin ang bawat umaga with good vibes sa mga informative and recreational segments ng aming programa.
Maaari niyo rin ibahagi sa amin ang inyong opinion via Daily Tribune Facebook page at Tribune Now sa YouTube.
Makichika na rin sa latest showbiz happenings, mga katribo.
Kaya naman, magkita-kita po tayo mula Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 8 hanggang alas 9 ng umaga at magsama-sama po tayo sa
Gising Na!
This public service advisory is brought to you by Daily Tribune and 100.3 RJFM.
Oh, vaccination, isolation. Gotta keep up with my nutrition. Gotta maintain my body condition. Then I can take my vaccination. What do I choose? What do I take? As long as it is not a fake. AstraZeneca, Moderna, BioNTech, even Sinovac, okay na. Pababakuna ka ba? 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 Vaccination for the nation, no more isolation. With vaccination, pababakuna ka ba? 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 Paturok, paturok, paturok.
This public service advisory is brought to you by Daily Tribune and 100.3 RJFM.
Catch the latest news on our website, tribune.net.ph. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tribune Now. Download the Daily Tribune app on Apple Store for iOS and Google Play for Android to get the latest and most comprehensive news online. Daily Tribune invites you to join its Viber community, Katribu, to get updates on the hottest news on politics, business, sports, lifestyle, and entertainment. Emoticons of the Tribune mascot Tarsito are available on our community Viber.